Hi, my name is Gabrielle Michelle Leonard, and I work on staff at One. Today, I want to talk with you about connecting with God no matter what's happening in your surroundings, because it's in the most chaotic or disruptive times that we actually need to hear God's voice the most. So maybe for you, you're a mom, and in those moments when you're trying to connect with Him, your kids are all around you and they're loud and it's crazy, and you're having a hard time connecting. Or maybe it's in business meetings, or maybe it's in the middle of an argument when the tensions are high. Beloveds, hearing from God is not reserved for the perfectly peaceful or well manicured spaces in your life. Yes, it's incredible to hear God's voice when you're sitting outside watching the sunrise, or maybe when you're off at a retreat center. But the Father's heart for you is that you would hear His voice and fellowship with Him in all of your environments. So how do we do this? Well, Brother Lawrence, a 7th century monk, he first talked about practicing the presence of God. For him, he said, those things that could be deemed as a distraction or a disruption to communion with Him, he would seize for the work of Christ. So instead of keeping the noise of your kids or the washing of dishes or the disruption or chaos, whatever that is or that looks like for you around you at a distance, He would seize them, bring them close, and use them as a vehicle for the work of Christ. Use them as a vehicle for His worship. For me, when I spent some time living in the slums in the Philippines, there was no perfectly coit, small spot for me to connect and commune with God. The streets were my meeting place with God, and the people that were walking around were the presence of God and His handiwork. And so as there's kids being loud around me, or there's a guy driving a jeepney driving fast by, I would have to utilize those things as a springboard for my worship, bringing them in, integrating them into my fellowship with God. So here's my activation for you. Right where you are, I want you to pause and just begin to ask Jesus for Him to bring to mind an environment that you have deemed hard or have believed is a hindrance to your ability to connect with Him. I want you to ask His perspective on that environment or on that situation. And just begin to thank Him for it even. Because I imagine that shortly soon again, whether that is today or that is in the coming weeks, you're going to be in that environment again. And this time around, you're going to integrate it into your worship so that you could remain in ceaseless prayer, ceaseless communion with the Father. Beloveds, the Lord doesn't need a quiet space to speak. In fact, the chaos around you may just be the backdrop He's been looking for.